Foggit is a high-performance fogging oil designed especially for internal combustion engines. Foggit can be used by everyone. If you have a lawnmower, a jet ski, a motorcycle, a tractor, a high-performance car, a classic car, racing vehicles, if it has a cylinder wall, it needs Foggit.
For more than a decade, FTI has strived to become the leader in the aftermarket performance transmission and converter industry. We've joined forces with McLeod driveline components under the leadership of Top Fuel funny car pilot Paul Lee, and now have a larger distribution network, more resources, and more power. Come see us in the pits and ask how you can join the FTI family. It's not cheating, it is the competitive edge.
This is WFO Radio.
Hey everybody, WFO Radio back on the air. Joe Castello back with you. We're still a week or so away from headed up to Seattle for the Northwest Nationals. Looking forward to it. A little nighttime qualifying. It is going to be great, like a throwback to all those 64 funny car days that we hear all those great things. John Ford's talking about it so many times. Being up there, can't wait. But this week, we still have a little bit of time. Spoke with Alan Reinhart yesterday. We've got Justin Ashley just minutes away. Justin, driver of the SCAG Racing Top Fuel Dragster, halfway through the season. Let's get a mid-season progress report. The National Hot Rod Association has just released their 2025 schedule. Looks a lot like the 2024 schedule, which I like. We'll talk a little bit about that with Justin. Also on the show, Taylor Chomiski going to join us, Competition Eliminator racer who has been a friend of the show for a long time. Taylor got his first win out there at Flying H Motorsports Park in Competition Eliminator. He is also battling for the, the Brogden Points Fund and Comp Eliminator down there in D4. So we're going to speak with him a little bit about it. So fans of Top Fuel, fans of Comp Eliminator, we ask you to share the show. WFO Radio, always want to grow. Now, I will tell you about the people who make it possible for me to go WFO. I'm just going to flash the logos a little bit. I'll tell you in depth between Justin and Taylor, but Total Seal, FTI, Foggit, Bernie's Speed Shop, CWT Industries, Phillips Connect, of course, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, Sam Tech, and Marvin Rodak's Coffee and Grills.com. A main man, Marvin, will get you up to speed on every one of them. But let's bring on our guest. He joins us now, number 2 in the Top Fuel points standings, Justin Ashley. What's up, Justin? How are you?
I'm doing good. What's going on, Joe? How are you?
I'm great. I am great. It's, this couple of week break in between, I was looking at the schedule for next year, looking at back-to-back races, all that stuff. I have been enjoying a little time to catch my breath, knowing that we're about to go on a stretch run, the 2 Western Swing races, Brainerd, Indy, and then the countdown is upon us. Has it come up quickly for you?
Yeah, it's about to go down. It's about to get real very quickly. It has. It's come up really quickly. You look at the schedule at the beginning of the year and you see 20 races, and before you know it, at the snap of a finger, all of a sudden we're halfway through. So I think the break came at a really good time. It's the halfway point in the season, but this stretch is going to get tough. There's going to be a lot of races confined within a shorter period of time. And as we go on throughout the rest of the year, every race is significant, but especially now, it just means more and more in every round, whether it's qualifying, whether it's race day, whether it's the Mission Foods Challenge, it's more important than the next. So right now the focus is all about the Western Swing. But for us, and I know a lot of the other teams out there, the focus is, okay, how do we put ourselves in a position to compete for the championship come the countdown and come the end of the year? So this first half of the year went really quick, but, get ready because we're about to roll real fast, real quick here for the second half of the year.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Like, I feel as if we are experiencing, and the first round in Norwalk was a perfect example of this. One of the greatest single years of NHRA drag racing ever. And people who watch WFO on a regular basis know that I've said this like the last 4 years. Best year ever. Best year ever. We're maybe having the best year ever again. And that first round in Norwalk was just insanity. The close racing, something you get when you get 20 Top Fuel dragsters roll through the gate.
It was outstanding. I'd have to go back and look at it, but I don't know that any of the cars actually smoked the tires or shook the tires. It was definitely the best round of eliminations I've ever seen. And then on top of that, that Friday night session in Norwalk was also an awesome session where pretty much, if not everybody, made it down the racetrack. So many close races, and it really set us up for a bunch of good races throughout the entirety and the rest of race day there. But that first session really shows you how good the nitro categories are and how good Top Fuel is and how deep it is as a field. It is the best Top Fuel field I think we've ever seen in NHRA history. The depth is there. The skill is there. The talent is there, not only from a driver's perspective, but from a crew chief's perspective, from a team perspective. And that round one was wild. So many close races. We were, I don't remember exactly what pair, maybe fifth or something like that, but just sitting in the car and trying to listen and hear what was going on, all the pairs in front of us, was actually so much fun because each race seemed closer than the next. So hopefully that sets the tone for the entirety and the rest of the season, and I think that it will.
Yeah, 81.6. I'm scanning the ladder on NHRA.com as we speak. And you had to run Tony Schumacher. We thought about making you guys the marquee matchup again, but we went in a different direction. I know you're not bummed out about that. But the worst ET of the entire round, as I see it here, was Dan Mercier with a 381.6 against Antron's 373.9, which looks, Billy Torrence ran 71.7, was low of the round, it looks like. So what a round. Everybody got down, all close races, driver reaction times making the difference. And that set us up for just a great race day. And it sounds like there's more cars coming. If you believe the rumors and the things that we've heard, certainly you might not have been listening to WFO, but Richard Freeman came on and said that they have an intention to buy some chassis and hopefully partner and get out there and be involved in Top Fuel drag racing. The idea that there are more good quality cars potentially coming, Ida coming out as a teammate to Tony Schumacher. I know they were getting ready to test yesterday. The rain stopped them, but my goodness, this thing's getting better.
It is. It's wild. There's new cars coming, and then the part-time cars that are here right now that are like part-time cars. Are they really? Like you just mentioned Dan Mercier when a 381 was the slowest of the round. Like, kudos to him. He's tuning his own race car and driving the race car. He owns the operation. He's doing an amazing job. And then Doug Foley, that's out there right now, also is a part-time car, and so many others, in addition to the ones that are coming in. Like you said, if Elite decides to take that next step next year, and then we know that Ida is going to come in, I believe, starting in Brainerd. So yes, it's only going to get better. I mean, it's wild. I've never seen anything like it. Obviously, this is my 5th year in Top Fuel, but I grew up at the racetrack. My father raced Pro Mod for many years, raced Funny Car for many years, and I've never in my whole life following the sport seen fields as deep and as good as it is right now. So competition is good. It's really healthy for the sport. I think it's healthy for the category. I think that it makes all of us better, and we have to be on our A game, because if we're not, we're going to be going home early. So we're excited. We welcome the competition. We love it. And ultimately, I think it's healthy for the sport.
Yeah, Doug Foley, poor guy. You go to the dude and you say, here's the deal. You're going to be 77 on the tree. You're going to be 74.6 on the track. Take it or don't take it. And I think most people would take it. Nope, didn't work out.
Unbelievable. I mean, but it's so weird because this sport is sometimes it's just like a right time, right place sport. Like you could take that lap sometimes, right? Like you'll take a lap that you made and you'll say, okay, I would have won against literally everybody else, but I didn't win today because I was racing this person in the left lane to the right lane. So sometimes it could be a right time, right place sport, but a win's a win. You take it any way that you can get it.
All right. So why is this happening in your opinion? Why is this happening? Like, is there a data point that things turned? Like I think about the Capco perfect countdown that they won, all 6 races, which is, an amazing stat. You're someone who appreciates what we call stick and ball sports. Like what would the equivalent even be? I don't know. But I look at that as a point where it kind of demonstrated like, everybody's got to step up. Everyone's got to step up. And it seems like they certainly have. What about you, though? What do you think is the origin of this? Rules package, NHRA, track? Like, what do you think?
I think it's a combination of things. I don't think it's one singular thing. But, when you look back at it and you think about what Capco did and swept the countdown and the dominance that they had, just looking back at it now, I have so much more respect for them and their ability to have success during that period of time. But obviously, and I'm sure Steve will tell you the same thing, the competition's a bit different now. It was good then, but it's great now. Yeah, I think, first and foremost, NHRA, I think, is in a really good position. They're in a healthy position, and it offers the opportunity for a lot of people to come out here, and a lot of new people that have time to develop and grow as drivers and grow as teams. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned the rules. I think that the rules package has been relatively the same for a certain period of time, and you can get creative, but you have to get creative within a certain window. And when it's been the same and when everybody's operating within that same window for a number of years, it just means that the cars are going to get closer and closer to each other. And I think that's what we see out here today, cars that are just running very similar numbers. When you look at the ladders after qualifying, you could have a 375.0 qualified 4 and a 375.9 qualified, 10. It's just unbelievable how close these cars are. It almost feels like pro stock. But yeah, I think it's a combination of things. NHRA is in a really good position business-wise. Obviously, you see that and Mission Foods' involvement in the sport. But that in conjunction with the rules package and the gambling, which I'm very, very excited about. I think that's great for our sport. I think that's great for the fans, too. All that in conjunction with each other, I think leads to some really good competition.
I love to hear you talk about that. That's a hot topic. I was listening to Lone's NHRA Insider, he and K-Mac talking about it. We're all excited. The word, you said it, gambling, right? Right? Daily fantasy, all these things that for many years were kind of ways of saying things to not offend anybody that might maybe get offended by the idea. No, listen, this is now legal in all of these states. And this gaming is a way and is one of the major reasons all these other sports have become so popular, because you don't have to know everything about it. Maybe you don't even have to be so passionate about it, but you're connected in it because you put a $5 bill on your favorite driver or somebody that you like, or someone from your home region, or has an accent like you. Like, who knows what the logic is? And anybody's got a chance. You may not win, but you feel like you're riding with the driver. No, I think it's one of the biggest things that has happened to our sport.
It is. And I certainly, I respect everyone's opinion. I don't want to offend anybody, but I'll tell you my opinion. And I think it's huge. I think it's great for the sport. I think it's healthy. Football, baseball, basketball, horse racing, right? All this stuff you gamble on. And like you said, it gives fans an attachment to certain drivers and certain teams, and just makes them that much more invested in the outcome and what's going on. And I always thought drag racing was built for gambling because the sport is all about instant gratification. We have cars that go 0 to over 330 miles per hour in under 4 seconds. That is an amazing thing to watch. It really is a sensory experience. You take that and add gambling on top of that, and it's only going to progress. It's only going to get better. I'm sure there's eventually going to be parlays and all sorts of over and unders on reaction times and ETs and all sorts of stuff. But I think NHRA did a great job implementing this. I think we have a foundation. I think we have a start. And it was something, in my opinion, this is a business. And I think for the growth of the sport, and if we want to take NHRA where we want to, which is to new heights, I think this was something that was necessary.
Yeah. Simple as that. No, I appreciate it. And people are, has it been a hot rollout? Has it been a slow rollout? Like, who knows what people are doing at home? I would hope they would just investigate it, right? Like, see, you don't even have to actually make a wager. You can just look at what they are and think about it. And that's a great way to get started. So on that note, we're at the halfway point. You got 2 wins. I'd say you've had a pretty good start to the season. Good first half compared to last year. Not as good, but you're running a different program this year. This is a different schedule. The race is a little bit longer. You're running it differently. And in the past, we have spoken on WFO about why that is, funding, resources, et cetera, and so on. Are you where you want to be, sitting second in the point standings with 2 wins?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, certainly there's always areas to improve as a driver and as a team and as one. I think we all agree that we'd like to develop a little bit more consistency, maybe get rid of some of those first round losses. But all in all, when you look at the season as a whole, 2 runner-ups, a semifinal, a quarterfinal, 2 wins in there. One of which was at the 4 wides. I think we've had a lot of success, and that's come from Mike Green, Tommy DeLago, and the guys doing what they need to do to put our team in a position to be successful. Now, the interesting part is, you said it, we're running our program much different than we have in the past. Everything we're doing really has 2 purposes. We're there to win that particular race, which comes first, but also everything we do is with the intent and purpose of putting ourselves in a position to win in the countdown, because ultimately that's all that matters. So we'll be out there and qualifying, sometimes even on race day. We're testing different things. We're trying different things. We are trying to do everything that we can to be at our best at the end of the year. And I think a good example of that is actually we have a brand new chassis, a brand new car. The car that we have right now, I believe, is in its 3rd year. So it's time. It's time to get a new car. And right now they're working on all the electrical and plumbing, and the guys are doing a great job at that. But that chassis is from PBRC, and we will probably break that out sometime around Brainerd. At least that's the goal. So we have strategy in everything that we're doing, because ultimately it comes down to the championship. And, you know, we want to put SCAG Power Equipment, Toyota, Phillips Connect, all of our partners that have supported us through the years into the winner's circle at each race. But ultimately it's about the championship. And I know all the other Top Fuel teams, all the other teams out there would agree.
Yeah, that's an interesting call, right? Like 2 races before the countdown, switch to a new chassis. I like talk about, having to put a lot of thought in and weigh the options. Obviously, I trust Tommy and Mike Green and you guys to make that call, but the old reliable has gotten you a lot of wallies, and you're about to go into the fight, and you're going to test it out in Brainerd, obviously, and the big go. And we've seen people make that call and it work out great. And we've seen people make that call and it not work out great. What goes into making that decision?
Don't ask me. Ask Mike and Tommy. Look, the parts and pieces are important. I think it's critical to get a new car, but nothing is more important than the people, right? And with Mike and Tommy and the outstanding job that they've done, the outstanding job that Dustin has done running the day-to-day operation of the team, and everybody on this team, I cannot say enough good things about the outstanding job that they've done both on and off the racetrack for the entirety of our SCAG racing program. So that comes first. But, this is a decision that's up to Tommy and Mike, and something that, they're going to make. Nothing is for certain right now. We're going to see how it goes. But right now, I think they feel very comfortable making this decision, and that's what they're leaning towards. And there's a number of different factors, a number of different variables that really go into it. But for them, I think right now that's what they're looking at. And right now that's what they want to do, because they feel good about it. We know that we have a car that can run well, but we feel like we have a car that's waiting for us that can run better. And we're going to need every bit that we can get with this class.
Yeah. Well, and that's what in the past, I have jumped ahead a little bit early because I get so excited about the countdown and thinking about that intense feeling of every single round and every single thousandth of a second maybe being a deciding factor in a world championship, and, standing on the stage at the In-N-Out Burger finals because of a thousandth of a second. Look at Doug Coletta's season last year, right? We saw all the moments that they had, you being in the mix, of course. Is there a war room set up? Is there a dry erase board with each race laid out? Like, do these guys have a plan for the countdown already, like putting aside clutch packs, et cetera? I would imagine there is, but it's never going to be tougher than the 2024 countdown in the Top Fuel category.
Yeah. I'll say this, everything they do is very meticulous, right? They've been there and done that before. So everything they're doing, there's a purpose. I think the war room is probably the crew chief's lounge, right? And it's tough because you have to find the balance between trying to win now and trying to win later. And you have to weigh all those factors together. And when I say we're preparing for the countdown, by no means do I mean that, that particular race is not important to us, because it's huge. Every round, every race is important to us. And we also want to go into the countdown the best possible position that we can. A lot of that has to do with those mission foods points. A lot of it has to do with the qualifying bonus points and obviously the round win points. But they're very meticulous in what they do. Obviously, we all trust in their decision-making process, but so far so good. But I feel like there is not a day that goes by that they're not trying to sit down in their war room and find a way for our program and our team to get better, because we have to. Our goal is not going to change. Our goal is to win races. Our goal is to win championships and be the best representatives for our partners that we could be on and off the racetrack. And they're always working. The guys are always working to try and find ways to improve in those areas.
I want to talk a little bit about Seattle, but let's focus a little bit. Randy from SCAG has gotten a lot of attention lately. We've been speaking about him. He's highly visible out there, bringing his people, his SCAG dealers and their guests out to the pit box, giving them that opportunity one by one to experience the nitro. And it's kind of been an interesting breath of fresh air, if you will, to see how he's using the sport to promote his business. The folks at Phillips Connect on board with you early on. Your model of don't believe me, let me show you what we can do with a Top Fuel car, even in a limited schedule, now as a full-time team, kind of becoming the benchmark for how to do it, to bring on a new sponsor. You've had some great partners, and they're putting you in a good position to compete.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. I mean, you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. And, we feel really fortunate to be a part of the whole SCAG racing organization. Obviously, Randy and Maria and the whole team at Metalcraft of Mayville work extraordinarily hard. They are on the ground floor of everything that they do. It's funny, when we visited the factory in Mayville, Wisconsin for the first time, Randy went around and he knew everybody's name on the floor. And keep in mind, they have, I don't know, give or take, more like, right, let's just say 1,000 employees, give or take. And not only did he know their names, but he knew their backgrounds and what was going on that day or yesterday or what was going on in their lives. And he's just that type of person. He's genuine. He really cares about the individuals, and he cares about the dealers and distributors that are at the races with us. And that's why you see him at the starting line. That's why you see him at the pit box. And that kind of culture has been instilled throughout the entire organization, whether it's on our team, Dave Richards' team, Daniel Wilkerson's team, and even the elite pro stock teams that are sponsored by SCAG. And it's also been a blast to be teammates with those guys. So it's really an honor to be able to work with SCAG. And it's so much fun just to see their activation and their involvement and their commitment to the sport of NHRA drag racing. And Phillips Connect have been another one, right? They've been with us since 2022. And, that's the definition of family. That's the definition of a true partnership. And they've meant so much to our program throughout the years. And we've developed such good, close personal relationships with Amber, with Jim, with Rob, and the entirety of their organization. And we just feel really fortunate to have them on. Speaking of which, they're actually, I think this is probably a good platform to touch on it. They're hiring over 40 technicians nationwide across 15 different cities. And I'm in a bit of a unique position because I actually worked for them on the business development side for over a year last year. And I can see what kind of culture they have. I can see what it's like to work for an organization that's family run, that really cares about their employees, not only at work, but in their everyday lives. And a lot of the skills that come with being a Phillips Connect technician and installing their technology on fleets of trailers around the country is the same skill set that applies to being mechanically inclined, that applies to working on race cars. So if anybody out there is interested, it's actually on NHRAlaunch.com. It's on the NHRA Launch portal. So that's a great opportunity to, no pun intended, launch a really great career for you at a really great company.
The WFO universe, I'm sure somebody is looking for a job out there. That's a great gig. Go to work for Phillips Connect. You just got a personal invite to apply by Justin Ashley. That's kind of cool, Justin. Installing, working on big rigs. I'm sure it, pays pretty well. And, they're looking for responsible, good people. And you're coming to the WFO universe. It makes perfect sense.
Well, this is where, look, if I'm going to go anywhere, I'm going to go to WFO universe, right? This is like where Richard Freeman broke the news about the Top Fuel. I know this is where things go down, is at WFO universe. So got to talk about it here.
He's right. No, listen, I don't want to, pat myself on the back. It's just, I'm real fortunate, and I'm grateful, honestly. I know somebody who says that all the time. All right. Western Swing, Seattle, night qualifying. This track, one of the coolest tracks on the tour. I am super excited about it. I don't think we do enough like nighttime stuff because that's when the cars are the coolest. And look, they are delivering. They're spending a ton of money to bring in lights. So hopefully people will come out and have this experience. Makes it a little tougher on you guys, though. Like racing at night, 330 mile per hour. It's got to be more challenging.
It's definitely more challenging. I'll be honest with you. That's one of the areas that I've been working on, improving on as a driver. I don't feel like I've done my best driving at night. And, the only way to get better is to practice at it. So this would be a great opportunity. But I'll tell you what, the reason they're running at night is pretty simple. It's for the fans. And that's what the sport is about. So kudos to NHRA and kudos to the team over there at Pacific Raceways for doing this. I think it's exciting. It's certainly different. I think our first run is around 4:30. And the nighttime run is around 9:15. But if there was ever a nighttime run, this is the nighttime run. I think with the air being what it is there, I think it's going to be really fast. And I think the unique part about it is you can actually maybe take some of what we learned during that session and apply it to the Friday night session in Sonoma as well. So there'll definitely be a lot of header flames, a lot of really quick, fast runs. And we love racing at night. I think the fans love it. I think they really enjoy it more so than even the daytime racing. So it's different. It's the first time I think we're doing that in Seattle. So fans are definitely in for a treat. And, we're hoping that we can put on a good show. I think that we can.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And right, the Seattle Sonoma back to back, great stuff. A shortened Western Swing. We all wish we could go back to Denver. Not happening just at this moment. Little rumblings out there. Kind of interesting. Loans got me a little excited with NHRA Insider. Hey, Sammy Eubanks wants to know about the mission points from the Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge. They're like in a separate bucket, right? Like when you get the points, they go in a separate bucket. And then once the countdown reset happens, then they apply the points. They're not in the point standings as I understand it, but maybe I'm wrong. Do you know?
No, correct. They go in a separate bucket. So they are, wherever after they do the reset after the race in Indy, those mission foods points then get totaled to wherever you are. So let's say you finish in first, that other person is 20 points behind you. But if they have 3 mission foods points, or then 17 points behind you. So it gets added on after the fact, which I think is really neat. I think it makes it actually that much more significant. So that can have a really big impact on who wins the championship at the end of the year.
Well, looking at the point standings, like Doug leads you by 134, but you lead Sean by 2. And it's very tightly packed right behind Doug once that reset happens. And, anybody who's been the points leader going into the countdown has experienced the bummer of losing a giant points lead and then having to go again. But if you're at the bottom half of the points, you love it. And that's the whole thing of the playoff deal. Justin, any final thoughts as we get ready? I don't want to overhype the intensity of NHRA's Final 4 regular season races and the 1.5 points at the U.S. Nationals, which is going to be amazing. Big round number, 70. They just released the new plans. We just released the schedule for 2025. Is there anything else you want to comment on?
Well, I think when you look at the schedule for 2025, it's in terms of the schedule layout, it looks very similar. But I think the two most important things are it looks like we are going to have 4 qualifying sessions, I believe, at every race except for Indy, which will be 5. And then we'll have 3 qualifying sessions at Virginia, which will be a 2-day race again. So that was the thing that stood out to me. I think it's another great schedule, but 4 qualifying sessions at each race. I love that. I think it helps the teams to get dialed in, more opportunities for fans to see some runs down the racetrack. So all in all, I think the schedule looks good, but we'll have to focus on that later. Right now, the focus is only on Seattle and preparing for the countdown. So Indy's a big one coming up too. That 1.5 points really means a lot. So every race from this point out is just super critical.
Yeah, and just winning Indy, right? Just like being an Indy winner. It can't overstate that. All right, so before I let you go, I happened to hear you on with Monday Morning Racer on Power Hour a couple of weeks back, and you guys got to talking about the New York Jets. And I'm listening to you with the the Vince Lombardi trophy in your eyes, and you're thinking about Aaron Rodgers, and he's going to come back, and he's just going to start slinging it, and it's going to be Aaron Rodgers of the Hall of Fame career, right? Are you not at all concerned? This guy's coming off a very serious injury with all this pressure you're applying.
Of course I'm concerned, Joe. I'm always concerned. I'm a Jets fan, but you didn't hear. No, they're winning the Super Bowl. You didn't hear that?
I heard it. No, I heard it. Yeah. I'm bringing it up. I'm bringing up a topic from 2 weeks ago because I think, come on, really? The Jets.
Let me be happy. Just let me be happy, Joe. This is what we win. We love the offseason. All right, but look, talk about the Jets for a minute. I know you're a Dolphins fan.
Right?
They have a good team. I really like their coach a lot. But I'll say this. I believe that you build a team inside out, and that's how you win championships. So the Jets invested a lot in their offensive and defensive lines. I think they'll win in the trenches. But here's the key. We don't need Aaron Rodgers. And I say we. I don't know, we, right? So I'll say we.
You can say we. You're a fan.
I'll say we. I've been a fan for a long time, right? So we don't need Aaron Rodgers to be the Aaron Rodgers of old. We don't need him to be MVP Aaron Rodgers. It'd be great if he was. But we have a top 5 defense. We have what I think is a top 10 offensive line. If he can just go out there, be efficient, protect the football, be a top 12 to top 15 quarterback, the Jets can win a lot of football games. So that is what I'm hoping.
You're talking Super Bowl. All right. Well,
I'm talking Super Bowl, baby. I'm talking Super Bowl.
Well, we shall see. We're not that far off. And, for a long-suffering New York Jet fan, I do feel a little bit sad for you. But as a Miami Dolphin fan, I'm equally sad. 1973, man. That's
right.
a long time. That's my whole life. I was born into the world with this promise of perfection, and not since then have we, drank from the chalice of victory. Now, on the other hand, I do, we were both baseball fans as well, and we're also on opposite sides of the spectrum.
Yes. So what are the Yankees going to do at the trade deadline? Because they have record-wise a really good team, but I don't know what's happening. They're going to have to make some moves at the deadline because they've been falling off a little bit.
A lot bit. First to 50 wins. And if you could only hear some of the great conversations that me and Bobby Lagana have for about 10 seconds as he's walking up to read the track. They're 3 games back, 591 baseball. Like, that's still really good. But some flaws in the team are being exposed, right? They need to balance the lineup. They need everybody to play as well as Aaron Judge, and we'll be just fine.
That's fine. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
They'll get it figured out. But they're in a good position. I think they'll make some moves at the deadline and they'll be fine.
They have to. That's the thing. This is Yankee baseball. The problem is that they don't open the purse like they used to. Right. When Big Stein was there, whatever you need, get it, right? Like, what do you need? Right. Get it. Imagine the Top Fuel owner. Like, what do you need? Well, we need a new car, and we need 5 years worth of clutch discs. And he's like, get it, whatever you need. That was Big Stein back in the day. We don't have that anymore. Now they're counting. They're counting.
Times have changed. Yep.
Times have changed. But all right. Well, we'll keep track of this alongside as the summer becomes fall and we start talking a little football and baseball as the World Series comes around. Justin, thank you for spending a little time with us here on WFO Radio. Really appreciate it. Enjoy your weekend here this weekend, whatever you choose to do. And we will see you in Seattle not long from now.
Yes. Thank you, Joe. And we're grateful for you. Thank you for everything you do to cover the sport. And we are grateful for everybody at WFO Universe. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
There you go. Reach out. Get a job, guys. Justin Ashley's asking and inviting you to do so. How cool is that? All right. Justin Ashley with us here on WFO Radio. Taylor Chomiski, friend of the show, competition eliminator racer. People tell me all the time. I get out there and they're like, Joe, you guys, you really need to focus on the Lucas Oil Series racers, a little more, because they're the real backbone of the sport. And I always say, yes, I do. And I know, and let's do it. And we're about to do it just seconds from now. Before we do that, though, if you would please oblige me to let me tell you about the people who make it possible for me to do this show, like Bernie Speed Shop. This is Josh Hart's home base, the mothership, if you will. Over 100,000 square feet in Ocala, Florida, just like 10 minutes away from Big Daddy Don Garlett's. And what is great is they're pretty much a dealership for classic cars, muscle cars, exotic cars. They are buying and selling. They do frame-off restorations. They do everything automotive. And what's amazing about Bernie's is that Bernie's spawned from Josh Hart going door to door asking people if he could detail their cars. It's a great story. If you need an e-bike, if you want to sell a classic muscle car, they do it on consignment, and they will do a better job than you will. I hate to say that. I'm reflective on that myself right now. They will do a better job because they know who wants what, where whatever particular car is popular. They know all the numbers and the details. So reach out to them, Bernie's, BURNYZZ.com. Hit their social media and follow along at Bernie's Speed Shop. Want to see Josh do well as the remainder of the season goes on. He sounds very aggressive in his plan. The folks at Foggett, this is very important. This is Gary Stinnett's company. Gary Stinnett, Steve Williams. Gary invented the spray to protect the inside of your racing engine. Think about this. You have got a finely tuned, finely honed competition eliminator engine that's making nearly 3 horsepower per cubic inch. And you've gone through all that effort. At the end of the night, you're out in the middle of a pit area. You put it in the trailer. What happens? There's going to be some condensation that mixes with the remnant of the combustion process that could form sulfuric acid. And all of a sudden you're damaging at the microscopic level all of that hard work and investment. You don't need to have that be a problem. You just fog it down, right? And this is something that Pat Topolinsky taught me about like years ago. Like, you got to fog it down, Joe. He's talking about South Florida, my bracket engine. I was like, what does that even mean? He's got to spray down into the carburetor, into the spark plug holes to protect the inside of your engine, your valve seats, all of those things. And Gary Stinnett was on the project himself and created this product. You can get a can of it at summit-racing-equipment.com, amazon.com, or foggett.com. And it works on so many other things, but it's really designed for race engines people are using on firearms, etc. CWT Industries, what is that? These are balance machines for machine shops. If you're an engine builder, if you're doing your balance stuff yourself, that balance machine you've got, like every once in a while, it's important to reevaluate your technology. Like think about Justin Ashley. He's getting ready to go into the NHRA Countdown with a car that has won so many races. It's like a comfortable shoe. But at some point, is that old comfortable shoe giving you the support that you need? It's the same with your technology and your machine shop. It's the same. Like that balance machine, they've improved on so many things. They've improved, and CWT Industries has done a great job. So reach out to Randy Neal at CWT Industries to find out more. If it rotates, it can be balanced. Shout out to our friends at FTI Performance Transmissions and Torque Converters, of course, chosen for Project Pontiac, the 180 straight cut gear set with a power glide, torque converters, but they do torque converters for your street car, for your muscle car. Check out FTI.com. We always shout out to our friends at Phillips Connect and Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology, totalseal.com. And a shout out, of course, to our friends at Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School and Marvin Rodak. 817-924-6821. Call and order some coffee. Like the easiest way to support WFO Radio is to call Marvin, bend his ear, and order a pound of coffee because it will change your life. All right. Speaking about changing lives, man, I am excited to talk to this guy. He just got his first win in the Lucas Oil divisional level in Competition Eliminator. His story is a roller coaster of emotions, and he joins us now, Mr. Taylor Chomiski. Taylor, welcome back to WFO. As a winner, how are you?
I'm well, Joe. How are you? It's great to be back with the WFO universe, the Podfather himself. Thank you so much for having me. Just to touch on the conversation you're having with Justin there at the end, you guys left out 4 pretty important words, which are, how about them Cowboys, Joe? It's our year.
Thank you, Taylor. It's been wonderful having you on the show. And no, I'm kidding. Cowboys. You're as long suffering as we are. You guys are the ones who, I don't want to say what happened, but it was not good. I watched the coverage. I know what's happening out there. And the Cowboy fans were not very happy at the end of last year.
Frustrated in December, frustrated in January. Now we've reset, we're fresh, and we're ready for 2024-25. So we'll see what happens. It's always a roller coaster. Apparently what I live on all the time. So yeah, why not be a Cowboys fan?
You should have, you need to go and try to get Jimmy Johnson back. That was where it all went south. It's where it all went south, right? The University of Miami Hurricanes, Jimmy Johnson, Hall of Famer from sunny South Florida. The guy was doing great. He was out there. He's fishing. He's in the sun. He goes to Dallas. You guys went back to back and then one more with Switzer. And then it's been all downhill ever since.
That was the magic back then, Joe. We're trying to recreate here.
That's it. Well, good luck to you. We all have something to look forward to this football season. Justin with his Jets, me with my Dolphins, and you with your Cowboys. And yeah, man, we race fans can sometimes be shocked that drag racers have an interest in stick and ball sports.
There is a life out there besides drag racing. Not much of one. We spend a lot of our time here invested because this is what we love to do. But yeah, we'll catch a game here once in a while.
All right. So Competition Eliminator racers, like everybody needs to be sharing the show. Got a lot of angles that I want to cover. They got a lot to talk about, but what is most important is this. You got your first win. This car of yours, the last time you were on, it was like the story, Taylor. Can you wrap your story into 2 minutes? I was thinking about the U.S. Nationals last year. I saw you getting ready for your first round matchup. I walked over and wished you congratulations. The next thing I know, it's 2 days later, and I'm hearing this horrific, nightmarish story. And here, less than a year later, you're in the winner's circle. Wrap it up for us. Tell everybody what happened, Taylor, because you are going to tell your story better than anybody. Pick it up from right before the U.S. Nationals, if you can.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride. Just to go back a little bit, I started my driving career in 2020, had an incredible opportunity, and I actually picked up my first divisional win in 2020, the first year that I got in a car. So you try to stay humble, but you think they're going to come. And 4 years later, 3 cars later, we get the second one. And comp gets treated, Competition Eliminator, comp for short, gets treated like Pro Stock and Top Fuel at the divisional level. Rarely is the first Wally of the weekend handed to the Competition Eliminator driver, but it was the first inaugural race at Flying H Drag Strip in Missouri, Kansas City area, which is super cool. So to get the first comp Wally there, and actually the first Wally they handed out because of the weather that weekend, and get to hand it to Dad on Father's Day, I mean, how can it get better? But yep, new combination for us this season. We had Cobalt a few years ago. We got back into Dad's old faithful with some unfortunate incidents with the Cobalt. We got the Pro Stock truck, which got a lot of ink and a lot of positive vibes, because it's, you know, you just don't see them very often, especially in its original form, running in Pro Stock truck in comp. So made the comp clash at Indy, qualified not where we wanted to. Unfortunately, went out in the first round, and what do drag racers do on Saturday? They're supposed to be home on Tuesday. Go to St. Louis and test. So we picked up from Indy, drove straight to St. Louis Saturday night, unloaded Sunday, made the best corrected run ever, and throttle hung open. Unfortunately, we no longer have the truck, but I'm pretty happy with this 2008 Cobalt we have. Originally built for the Coughlin family. It's been passed around to some awesome Comp Eliminator racers. It was in the hands of Elite before we got it, and we got our hands on it now. We're fine-tuning, trying to make the guys that had it before us proud, and we might have this one for a while. So pretty special photo there this year to get a win after 4 years. I mean, these things are so hard. The competition is unbelievable. You know, all the work and effort that goes in. I mean, I know Top Fuel and Pro Stock and those guys get the limelight. We put just as much heart, sweat, tears, blood into our programs too. And, you know, to get a win, you know, with Chief, my fiance now, Allie, you know, and to hand that trophy to my dad, makes me emotional. You know, it just doesn't happen very often. So to cherish those moments is absolutely huge, Joe.
Amazing. And Allie, right? I should have grabbed a photograph from Facebook, and I might still. You just got engaged like days ago.
Recently, yeah, in your neck of the woods. Spent the weekend in Miami with some true friends, and surprised her, which was my only goal. She had no idea. So she's a wonderful woman. She supports all my dreams, like all my family does, and very, very happy she said yes. We didn't have to kick her off the back of the boat.
That is amazing. That is amazing. You know, great stuff. You're having a good year, but okay. I gotta, you know, the storytelling part of it, right? Like the depths of despair to the thrill of victory. And you leave Indy, you go test, you got an engine that we've talked about. Grumpy Jenkins touched that engine, and you make a great run, and the throttle hangs open, and then it's all destroyed. The interesting story is my friend Rick McDonough owned that truck for a while, and like all the tie-ins were amazing. But when I heard that, I thought maybe this is a sign, you know, the Italian in me, right? The superstition, like, how is this kid going to keep going after this? The first time, totally not your fault. Some guy runs into you. Second time, throttle hangs up. You've got a torn up truck after you've put so much into it. Was there a moment where you said, maybe I shouldn't do this? Maybe maybe drag racing is telling me that I should go do something else?
Yeah, crazier things have happened. And fortunately, you know, my first call was to Jerry Haas and John DeFlorian, because the only part of that truck that wasn't mangled was where I sit. So testament to the safety and everything that goes on, even on, I mean, it was a national event track in St. Louis, but during just an open test session. So the facility was great, and the truck kept me safe. So, call me crazy, call me whatever adjective you want to use, but there's just no quitting the Chomiskis. This is what we want to do. This is how we want to spend our time. This is where our passion is. My poor dad, I'm working him like crazy. He just turned 70. Good thing for me. He looks about 55 or 50 years old. So we're going to keep him going as long as he'll put up with me. But no, there's no quitting us, Joe. Comp is where we want to be right now. We're having an absolute blast. Couldn't do it without the people that support me. You know, I got to touch on those people. I mean, KI, CIP1.com jumped on for the primary sponsor this year. I mean, the largest inventory of vintage Volkswagen parts on the planet. If you're a Volkswagen guy, please get in touch with CIP1. You will not be disappointed. You know, my guys with Scott Seed, NC Machine, the Roach family, Watson Concrete, ACI, the Watson family have been fantastic. My guys this year, a new Lone Star Gasket. If you need seals, gaskets, anything like that, one-stop shop there as well. If you need somewhere to hang out in Salt Lake City, the Brickyard Bar is there. Obviously, you know, Roger with Roof Tech, everybody with Elite, you know, Chief that works on my car, and my dad. I mean, I couldn't do it without these people. So, I mean, you have a bad day, you make a couple phone calls, you assess the damage, and, you know, before Tuesday, the truck was back at the shop. We had the engine out. We're diagnosing and moving forward. That's the only way we know how to do it. You know, the list for every drag racer on how you're going to lose a race is long, and it's going to continue to get longer. Not a lot of wins, you know, that come. Everybody that shows up in every category, one guy wins, the rest are upset. So for us, you got to stay positive, keep going. And we've parlayed that, hopefully with a little luck, coming from somewhere. But we parlayed that into a fantastic start to the season. We're kind of at the halfway point, and we're excited to keep it going.
Very exciting. All right, listen, I brought up the photographs. Here's the big moment. Look at this.
There we go.
Look at this.
Beautiful.
Amazing. Were you 100% certain it was going to go your way?
I was. You're never 100% certain, but you go into the race thinking you're going to win. I had the in-car, before run jitters, definitely. Wanted to get it over with and stop deleting messages and things and photos off my phone, because I'm not that kind of guy. But turned out to be a fantastic weekend. She's a wonderful woman, and life's good right now, Joe. I cannot complain. Very, very lucky.
Great. That's great. All right, you mentioned in-car. Let's post a little video you sent me. Taylor sent me a whole bunch of stuff. He's doing a great job as a guest. I'm going to ask you about that Brogden Points Fund, and I know you got a new sponsor as well. Remember, guys, we love Competition Eliminator. Like, if you're here to see Justin Ashley, Top Fuel, Nitro, Pro Stock, and you don't hang around for comp, you're really missing something amazing. That's the thing about Competition Eliminator. Like, you don't really know what you're going to get. It's not all the same. There's all these different combinations. It definitely takes a brain to keep up with all of these elements. But in the end, if you can keep it simple, like these are badass race cars, let's go inside Taylor's. Taylor, walk us through what we're seeing. I'm going to turn down the volume a little bit. We'll be able to hear you.
Yeah, this is the final round at Flying H. So you can see me making sure it's in first gear 100 times, setting the brake pressure. I have a Pro Stock car inside a different body. So you can see me get, under my blinder for the reaction time. See me go through a couple gears. Fortunately for me, my opponent went red here, so you end the video with the celebration and how much it means to us.
Go.
Those gears come quick. We get on the radio and celebrate with the team. I make sure I'm stop safe because I've had some issues with that, and
look at that.
Time to celebrate. The emotions are real. They're raw. I say a lot of things inside that car. I'm glad I'm by myself, but it's just an amazing feeling to work in the car. But to have moments like that is what it's all about.
That's so great. Thank you for sending that. What a great experience to ride with a driver who just won the first first comp race at Flying H Motorsports Park. All right, you said it's great. Put some meat on the bone, though. We just released a 2025 schedule. It is not on there. From what I have heard from my friends in the area, that they are developing the systems. They're learning. They're still not done with all the asphalt. There's a lot going on there that they are working really hard to make this thing as great as is possible, but it just got built, so they need a little more time. You want to race there. Tell me a little bit about that track.
Yeah, Joe, it's a fantastic facility. They prepped as well as they could. We had a lot of weather that weekend and for a few weeks leading up to the race. So they had plans to have 2 more full parking lots paved with asphalt and set up for, the majority of the classes, which they just couldn't get done because of weather. No fault of their own. They had a lot of hurdles they had to jump over, but phenomenal facility, LED scoreboards, big grandstands going up now. The tower is beautiful. The pits are fantastic. It's in a great location. I think they need, to work on the scales a little bit. They have plans for all that stuff working. So I don't think it'll be too long before you can see a nitro car go down that track. Fantastic, long uphill shutdown, safe for everybody that's there. So fantastic facility. And nobody else can say they got the first wall there, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So comp rolled out first, like the first final, the first wally that was given from there at all is the one you got?
Yeah, so we were actually, comp was all pitted on the asphalt, of course, and they had, they brought in, I think, close to $100,000 worth of gravel to help the sportsman racers who were in the grass for the lots that didn't get paved. And so they had such a torrential downpour that the pits were flooded. So guys couldn't physically get to the starting line with their cars. So the NHRA and Division 5 and everybody Flying H did the absolute best they could. But because the comp class, the alcohol class, the sportsman motorcycle class, we were all as a class pitted on the pavement, we kind of continued normal schedule. So there was a lot of downtime, which they did their best to, fill with whoever they could. We did some round robin stuff, but yeah, comp actually ended up completely on schedule, and we were the first class to be awarded a wally. So very, very cool.
That is great. Yeah, no, that's got to go in like a special trophy case, et cetera. All right, a couple more things to ask you about. Appreciate you coming on. The Brogden money. right? Like your point standings, like you're fourth in the nation, you're third in your division, but you're second by only 1 point in the Roger Brogden points fund. We've covered it as much as we can here on WFO Radio, which is Roger, who is an eccentric character who loves Competition Eliminator, has rallied the people in the category to get back out there by putting up an unbelievable fund of $250,000 to win in Division 4. And you're telling me there's like a fantasy game around it and all these different elements. So break it down, because from what I gather, you're 1 point out of the lead for $250K.
We are. Roger with Roof Tech has put together a fantastic program for the Competition Eliminator field, trying to revive is not the right word, but trying to bring people I would assume like myself out, build a car. I mean, comp is one of the last classes in NHRA racing where you can dream it, you can build it, you can bring it, and there's a place to race it. So in my little Cobalt, I race nostalgia dragsters, altereds, pro stock cars. I mean, there's almost 100 different classes you can run now, copos. So the sky's the limit for comp. So it's a very awesome class. You'll see a lot of great index racing. You can never lose by getting to the finish line first. You can take a little penalty, which is a topic for another day, but the Roof Tech Competition Eliminator Bonus Fund, CEBF for short, has been around for 3 years now. It's an amazing program. Roger's done so much to raise money. Chomiski Performance is a sponsor this year of the program, ourselves as well, giving back. And the total prize pool for the year, Joe, is $750,000. The winner gets $250,000 at the end of the season. We have 2 separate shootouts, one at Indianapolis for the top 16 cars in points to date, and then another one at the end of the season where we finish in Las Vegas. So originally started as a Division 4 program, which the NHRA, for those that don't know, is split on the divisional level between 7 different divisions based on region in the United States. So Division 4, Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana. Roger decided this year to spread the wealth to some other divisions. So we went to Kansas City. We're going to St. Louis. We're going to Las Vegas. So to get the chance to bring some other people in and say, hey, come race with us a little bit, we'll come race with you. So fantastic program. The fantasy program was awesome for the first half of the year, trying to bring some new things to the sport. I know we've got gambling now on the pro level. Well, for comp, I'll post a link on my social media. I'll share it with the WFO universe. We have the second half of the fantasy program coming up. Free entry. Pick your favorite driver, hopefully me, for your share of $10,000. So if I leave the starting line with a 00 light, qualify well, win some rounds, I accumulate points if you choose me. And we did that in the first half of the season, which it's a cool program, but it's also very cool. And it shows me that I've got a pretty consistent hot rod. I'm doing a decent job behind the wheel. So much going on in Competition Eliminator. We're back on track for that series in Indianapolis. Indy's a marathon. We're going to get some other cars from other divisions coming in that we've got to get around if we want to keep points. And then the St. Louis race and the Vegas race are 1.5 points. So far from over, a lot of racing left, but I like my chances.
I like it. No, this is great. What all this in a year, man. This guy. Okay, finally, tell me about these guys.
Yes. So like Justin Ashley said, this is the place to break some news. We have become great friends with this family, Dwayne, Chad, Mary Lee, everybody at this amazing organization, business story. You can call it so many things, but Dwayne came to the shop in Amarillo to Chomiski Performance earlier in the year, and we've been in talks for a while, and it just didn't make sense quite yet for a partnership. But I am proud to announce for the rest of the 2024 season, TC Racing will have an associate sponsor of the Blind Frog Ranch. It is an amazing property for those that don't know in Utah, not a small piece of land with caves, mountains, so much history. But if you're thinking that rings a bell, seasons 1 through 3 of The Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch were on the Discovery Channel. They're currently re-airing on the Travel Channel. The land is just filled with history, with treasure, with mystery, mystique. I mean, stories, curveballs, secrets. It's an amazing property with just too much that I can get on this podcast now, Joe. But for those that follow Blind Frog Ranch or have seen Discovery Channel, we've got another link now between drag racing and, the series. So a lot of things coming up for both my program and the Blind Frog Ranch. I don't want to share too many secrets here, but what I can say is the cast is back together. So tune into both of our social medias and you might see some pretty big announcements coming through for the remainder of the season for the show itself and for the ranch. But just an amazing partnership for me, helping me get through the end of the season here and chase my goal. But to Dwayne, Mary Lee, Chad, everybody at the Blind Frog Ranch, let's get it started.
I love that. Look at this, man. We got breaking news. We got all this stuff that's happening here on WFO. What is your social, though, right? Like everybody's like, all right, I've tagged you on Twitter. You're not so active on Twitter. Where are you most active for our people?
Instagram and Facebook are where I put the majority of my time. Taylor Chomiski, hard last name to spell, but there's only two of us out there between me and my dad. So Instagram is T Chomiski, Facebook is Taylor Chomiski. Follow along on our journey. I can pretty much guarantee you won't be disappointed.
All right. Is there anything that we haven't addressed? Where are you going? What's next for Taylor? Obviously, you've got you want to go out there and win the U.S. Nationals, win this Brogden money, finish as high as you can in the points for the season. You got, CIP1 on board. You've got a new associate with Blind Frog Ranch. What's down the road for Taylor?
This season, we're 100% focused on this comp program. We've got an amazing chance to do really well on the divisional level, the national level, and then what we're all chasing, the quote unquote Brogden money, comp bonus fund. So we're focusing on comp here this year. Absolutely. My dad and I are in full control of this program, which is awesome. We've got great partners that help us, but we can pick and choose where we want to go, which is fantastic. Never say never on anything else. I know that you and I have spoken, Joe, about pro stock and things of that nature. Pro stock has changed, and not for the worse, not for the better. It's just a different game right now. With my dad being an engine builder, with myself wanting to learn so much more about the car. One class that's very intriguing to me right now is the entrance of the Mountain Motor Pro Stock class into the NHRA. I've had a few very, very entry level conversations. Not breaking news, I already did that. But the Mountain Motor class is something I could see, maybe a step in a different direction one day down the future. I think it's growing. There's some excitement about it. It's still got a clutch, which is awesome. It's still a door car, and it'd be a good step, in my progression. So you never know. The sky's the limit. No Top Fuel Harley for me. Probably no Pro Mod, probably no funny car, but the rest definitely intrigues me. So you never know. I've got great partners, great friends, great support. So we're going to do our best to take this championship home this year, and then it should be an exciting offseason.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you got to shift. It's as simple as that, right? You got to be shifting. Like real, I don't want to say real drivers don't, real drivers shift, but that's a passion of yours. You got to do that. You got to shift.
Yeah. Absolutely. I wouldn't know what to do if I could hold the steering wheel like this. I just would be lost. So it'd be a long 7 seconds, Joe.
Taylor, thank you very much. Hey, most of all, biggest congratulations. Of course, staying with it after the incident last year after Indy. That was just terrible. But you and Allie, I'm real happy for you guys. That's tremendous. Smart play, young man. Good call.
Thank you, Joe. We'll absolutely see you at Indy. I appreciate all the kind words. Thank you for having me on. For all the audio listeners out there, I am one of them. I don't get to tune in to many live WFOs these days, but I definitely listen to every audio podcast on Apple Podcasts. So you're not alone. I'm one of them. Joe, thank you so much for your time and the opportunity. You've been a true supporter of my program the whole way, and I definitely appreciate the platform.
And we'll continue. And thank you for shouting out to the audio-only podcast listeners. I was one for so many years in that shrink-wrap room, listening to a voice on a speaker, just trying to get through the day. And I always think about those people. Thank you for shouting them out. Taylor, thank you so much. See ya.
Thank you, Joe. See you at Indy.
There he goes. Taylor Chomiski with us here on WFO Radio. What a great story. That's what the Lucas Oil Series is all about. Competition Eliminator in particular. This kid has looked into the face of doubt so many times and said no and busted through and kept on going. And I'm just super excited for what they're doing with their program. This is a great story. He and his dad. And what are they? They are fourth in national, third in the division, just 11 points behind the next closest person. And then 1 point out for the CEBF money, which is, Roger Brogden fund. We're calling it. Everybody calls it the Brogden money. Because Roger Brogden is like stroking a check and loves Competition Eliminator. It's as simple as that. We all love Comp Eliminator as well. All right, put your comments in the comment section, guys. Final comments in the comment section. I'm going to tell you about a couple of things out there that I want you to know. Like if you're watching on PowerTube TV right now, reach out to me. Tell me when you're listening. Joe at WFOradio.com. I want to check in with this new audience, the PowerTube TV audience out there. Also, want to let you guys know that if you were a WFO Patreon, you would be able to watch a brand new episode of Hear It From Heiner. We just dropped a brand new episode for our Patreons. That's right. Totally unique programming for the WFO Patreons. Plus, you get a t-shirt if you sign up for a year, and decals and patches and a whole bunch of stuff being part of our secret society, our VIP listener club. But to me, the best thing is to Hear It From Heiner show. Better than Monday Motivation, better than hanging out on the Ignition podcast. You get a real race-winning pro stock crew chief explaining his methodology. And in our most recent show, we talked a lot about all the different combinations of data points that have to go right for you to go fast. And in a certain situation, some of the things that you might change, right? Like, well, there's this. But if you change any one or two of them, you got to change 6 other things to gain advantage. And my head was spinning, but I like to think if you really want to geek out on pro stock, chassis dynamics, drag racing, there's that too. And, you know, me and Heiner can goof around. Also, that happens from time to time. Our WFO Radio merch store. This is a great and easy way to support WFO. The link is in the chat section right now. It's available in our social feeds everywhere. And what's cool is there's mugs and sweatshirts and Morris Motorsports gear and the Fire t-shirt and Miami Hollywood Speedway retro stuff. But these WFO foam trucker hats are kind of a brand new offering. And I had to get one, right? I'm going to promote something if it's, you know, crappy. And so I'm looked at it. And as far as foam old school trucker hats go, it's right in the wheelhouse. It's right in the wheelhouse. And you can get the Fire logo. You can get the Miami Hollywood Speedway logo. You can get all kinds of stuff. And look, it's a trucker hat. They're pretty standard. And they have something called a dad hat, which I don't really want to know what that is. But if you want to get some WFO swag or merch or whatever you want to call it, it is all available. Our great friend Marvin Rodak, 817-924-6821. Order some coffee from this guy. He is amazing. Love Marvin. Hot sauces and spice rubs and grills and tools and tips and information. He's down there in Fort Worth, Texas. 817-924-6821. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. The Dragster Adventure at frankhawley.com. If you want to see why everybody loves drag racing so much, there's only one way to do it, and that's to drive a fast car. Frank has got some fast cars. He's got these dragsters that he puts regular people in. You don't have to get licensed. You show up with the clothes on your back, and you leave with the experience of a lifetime. frankhawley.com, the Dragster Adventure. And we always shout out to our friends at samtech.edu and everybody else that supports WFO Radio, like Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology. Just did a new episode of Hidden Horsepower yesterday. And if you aren't up on the Hidden Horsepower audio podcast, there's now a YouTube channel where you're seeing the video, much like this show. We're doing everything. Man, yesterday's show, guys, was so over my head. I don't always feel mentally like dwarfed by the people around me. But in this one, because you guys know who I hang out with on a regular basis, so I'm pretty good. But in this case, Dr. Peter Lee from the Southwest Research Institute, he set up a whole tribology lab. They're working, he's got a tagline from deep sea to deep space. They're solving tribologist problems with test rigs and all this. It was amazing. It was a really great episode if you're into that stuff, like smart guys talking about interesting problem-solving situations. And that's what it was all about. It was really great. That'll be dropping later on this month. Be sure to like the feeds and always follow as we try to educate about ring seal and all of that. How about Taylor? Good job. And where does he choose to do it, by the way? Notice I didn't get all Chamber of Commerce on you and say, yes, he came to South Florida, the MIA. All right, let's see what people got to say out there. What do you guys got to say out there? Ken says, great show as always. Great seeing my comp buddy Taylor on the show. See you at Indy with our new driver, Kid Chaos, in our FX car. You know, Ken, I was wondering about that because we had made the announcement, and Kid Chaos is always so active on social media, and he's very funny. He's got a comedic mind, and we love Kyle. Like, I love Kyle. I don't know what Kyle thinks, everybody else thinks, but I think Kyle Koretsky is great. Of course, his dad, Kenny, is awesome, and that family saved Maple Grove Raceway. And they're just, in my opinion, drag racing royalty in a way. I want to see Kid Chaos back out there now that he's proven he could do the dad thing. Let's drive that FX car. Can't wait. Scott says, another great show. Thanks for everything you do. Now, listen, it's the guests. It's not me. It's the guests. It's Taylor. It's Justin Ashley. It's Alan Reinhart yesterday. Amazing show yesterday. Richard Freeman last week. We're on an incredible run. And all I would ask you to do is, forward the show to somebody, whether it's clip the link and put it in an email. You guys are like trusted third-party validators, to use marketing term. You look at trusted third-party validator. Your friend doesn't care what I tell him, but what you tell them, they're going to believe it. Taylor is an amazing example of perseverance and never quitting. Congratulations on your first national event. It was a divisional, but still, you got the first Wally at Flying H. And he did remind me he had one at the divisional level back when he got started in 2020. Was it 2020 or 2021? Right? Regardless. Guys, moment of vulnerability here. I do not think I have the perseverance that Taylor does. Remember, they bought a car. He took it out like he just the caution to the wind strategy. Like, I'm going to do it. And he did it. And no fault of his own, some other racer drove into him. And, he's not like blaming anybody. It was just a terrible occurrence and the car was destroyed. So then he gets a second amazing car. My friend Rick McDonough had this car. It was a former Pro Stock truck, and he had sold it to this other gentleman, and the other gentleman sold it to Taylor. And that was kind of a fun tie-in, right? Like, man, my friend had owned that car that Taylor's now going to run in comp. It's going to be great. Wow. So cool. We all become tied to these steel and carbon fiber creations. They all have their own personality and their own little aura. And Taylor goes out to the U.S. Nationals. I remember that. I will always remember that. Him and his opponent, like flipping a coin for lane choice or something, right? And then I went away, and then I found out they went testing and they crashed. And the truck was just gone. Just gone. He's lucky to be around. And at that moment, and I know drag racers don't ever say this stuff, but I'm saying it, like I might have been like, man, I'm going to be behind the microphone for the rest of my career. I don't know. Instead, they just went and bought another car and they did it. And now they're leading. They're doing well in points. They're a threat to win the world championship. They're doing good in the Brogden Fund. So amazing. Endeavor to persevere. KI out there. Great show, Joe. Thank you. Chris, thank you for helping out Taylor. Of course, it's fam. Great show, Joe. Way to go, Taylor. Just sent a friend request to Taylor. Sorry, Taylor. No, it's Ant Dog. It's okay. And then, Cowboys fans. That was the low point. That was the low point of the interview. But listen, every interview's got to have a low point. And so when Taylor starts talking Dallas Cowboys football, that's the low point. Then again, as a Miami Dolphin fan, it's all a low point. Although we are trending in the right direction, and maybe we can do something. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this week. There's plenty of content in the archives. The Ignition Podcast, audio-only Ignition Podcast. Have you tried it? Have you enjoyed it? Have you checked out all the personalities? Gio in Miami and Sue Morris and everybody. Bobby Graham from down in the Bayou. We've got so many people that participate on that podcast. They're all doing their own thing. Troy in Oregon, getting ready for his big divisional up there at Woodburn, going to be running the domestic dispute in the bracket category. All kinds of fun stuff going on. I got some interesting things going here in South Florida. Like we're trying to get my ma a used car. Got all these cats I got to take care of. And a little Project Pontiac action is happening as I am preparing to, I've got to move the car. I've got to do some moving of the car, and I got to take some pieces and parts and send them to Gary Stinnett. So I'm super excited about all that is going down in the world of NHRA drag racing. And if you are in Seattle or anywhere in that region, guys, we need a big turnout. All the investment that has gone into this night qualifying deal, you got to be there. This is one for the ages. And then just days later, we'll be down there in Sonoma doing it again. Little West Coast swing. If you haven't already planned it out, it's not too late. So come enjoy a little NHRA drag racing with us. It is going to be a lot of fun. I'm super excited about it, as you know. And that's going to do it for a great week of WFO Radio. Really appreciate all you guys as listeners, honestly. If I don't tell you that enough, know that I do. You could be watching anything or anyone or little clips or cable news, and you're watching WFO. It does mean a lot, and thank you. We'll see you next time Archive is loaded.